Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you've paid attention to the professional NFL Street 2 or Street universe for any amount of time, you're no doubt aware of a particularly strange and violent occurrence that happened in October of 2006. After losing a match against newcomer Case Grayson, pro gamer Sebastian Arbuckle, the Chunk Hunk, lost his temper and started shouting and pushing Grayson, causing Case to fall and sprain his hand, permanently ending his pro gaming career. And while everyone remembers the Chunk Hunk as a mean-spirited, sore loser, nobody really talks about Case Grayson or what he did before and after that fateful game. But there are many fans, not to mention Arbuckle himself, who blame Grayson for what happened on Line von Scrimmage Nacht, or the night there was no line of scrimmage. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you all to take a moment to subscribe to my channel. I make new videos about topics like MLG, pro gaming, and semi-pro gaming every week. If you don't want to miss my new videos, take a second now to subscribe, and even if you don't subscribe, at least comment something funny so I know you're watching. I do read most comments. But anyway, let's take a look at what really happened on Line von Scrimmage Nacht, reviewing footage of the night in question and the circumstances of that fateful game. Was the Chunk Hunk's famous outburst totally unjustified, or did Case Grayson actually break the rules? If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that most professional gamers can play a few different games throughout their career. However, that was not the case with Case Grayson. He's notable because he only cared about NFL Street 2, specifically NFL Street 2 for the Nintendo GameCube. So Grayson grew up in Utah, where he said there wasn't much else you could do besides go to work and play video games. He got bounced around from job to job. At different points, he was a Las Vegas card shuffler, an apiarist, and a stock photo model. Check out this clip from an interview he did in early 2005, which is just a few months after the game was released.
So I've mostly just been playing a lot. I used to work with bees. I got stung a lot. My job was milking them. But now I've mostly just been practicing. They're out there practicing like 8 hours a day, so I gotta be practicing for 9. I just don't have time for work anymore. So,
Hold on, just one more question. One more question for you.
This kind of work ethic was standard for most professional gamers at the time, and this made it hard for Grayson to maintain a stable income. By 2006, he basically lived in a closet like Harry Potter from the Harry Potter books, where all he had was a bed, a TV, and of course, a GameCube. His dedication to the game earned him a decent-sized following, and for a short while, he was a big deal among Street 2 players. Grayson quickly rose through the ranks of the professional Street 2 scene. He dominated local tournaments, and it wasn't long before companies like Planters, Tide, Secret Deodorant, and even EA and Nintendo were trying to sponsor him. These sponsorships helped him travel around the country, playing in Street 2 tournaments like the Toys R Us Draft Bowl, the Guitar Center West Coast Classic, and the Roundup Herbicide Weed Bowl. Along the way, he beat tons of professional Street 2 players, like Georgia native Ajax Attacks, the late Kurt Cobain, and billionaire youth minister Tom Tebow. While he never rose to quite the popularity of street players like Arbuckle or Patrick Pigskins, Case Grayson was notable not just for his intense passion for NFL Street 2, but also for his style of play, which was particularly unusual. While most players would hold their controllers like this, with the pointer fingers on the L and R buttons, and the thumbs on the joystick and button pad, Grayson held his controller like this, with his ring fingers on the bumpers and thumbs on the D-pad and C-stick. He used his thumbs and middle fingers for controller security, while operating the joystick and the other buttons with his pointer fingers. This way, he could quickly and consistently execute wall jumps, jukes, and stiff arms with an ease that no other gamer could replicate. While some people in the community called Grayson a button masher, he was actually a very thoughtful player, and he clearly had above average dexterity in his wrists, elbows, and thumbs. Line von Scrimmage Nacht happened on Wednesday, October 18th, 2006. It was the final game of the 2006 National NFL Street 2 tournament hosted by Milton Bradley and Arizona Ice-T. While Sebastian Arbuckle had breezed past each of the previous rounds, Grayson had only managed to defeat his opponents by small margins, beating Tom Tebow on a returned conversion and narrowly beating Ajax Attacks in a double overtime upset. Even if you don't play NFL Street 2, you probably heard about this game. Right away, the game got off to an unusual start. The Chunk Hunk chose the Eagles, which basically forced Grayson to pick the Falcons. Nowadays, these teams are banned in competitive play because quarterbacks Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb are what the gaming community often refers to as broken or OP. It's basically like using the C-stick in Super Smash Bros. Or steroids in baseball. I recorded myself playing as both quarterbacks to show you what this means. Look at how Michael Vick is able to score by evading everyone on the other team, then scrambling and running the ball down the entire field all by himself. In this clip, look at how Donovan McNabb puts the whole team on his back. Lastly, look at the stat line from the game I finished with Michael Vick. These are crazy numbers, right? Even though it wasn't an official rule at the time, there was still an unspoken agreement between pro players not to use the Falcons or the Eagles, and breaking this unspoken rule was considered very, very disrespectful. As the players traded touchdowns, it became clear that Grayson's unique play style was difficult for Arbuckle to counter. But then, in the last play of the game, Grayson exploited a peculiar technicality in the game's design. In real-life football, if you pass the ball after you cross the line of scrimmage, you get a 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and you lose a down. But in Street 2, there are no penalties, so Grayson was able to cross the line of scrimmage and complete a pass, scoring a 4th down touchdown. This secured the match for Grayson with no time for Arbuckle to recover. Some fans have called this an absolute robbery for the Chunk Hunk. This had never happened before. The hosts from Milton Bradley and Arizona Ice-T, who were watching the game, ruled that technically, because the play was possible inside the gameplay of Street 2, Grayson's touchdown was a legal play. This meant that even though it's not allowed in the NFL, passing over the line of scrimmage is totally acceptable in NFL Street 2. Case Grayson won the game, the tournament, and the $5,000 prize money. This frustrated Arbuckle, and he started shouting and pushing Grayson, claiming that he cheated and demanding a rematch.
Well, I guess that's
No,
a game.
that's not a game. This is bull. You cheated. I'm not in this. If you're not in this, was upstairs. He for us. He gave you cookies for this game. No, I don't think so. What planet do you park your pork on? Come on, man. I don't like this. No.
He had to be eventually carried out of the building, but not before the Chunk Hunk knocked Grayson over and injured his hand. After that, Case Grayson pretty much disappeared from the national scene. His passion for Street 2 and his integrity as a player had been questioned on a national stage. After the game, he was constantly surrounded by interviewers asking whether or not his victory was fair and if he was truly an NFL Street 2 champion. Just a few months after his victory, he vowed to never play professionally again, and he now only plays NFL Street 2 in his own home using house rules, and occasionally he speaks at local middle schools about pro gaming. Meanwhile, Sebastian Arbuckle continues to game, but he also no longer plays Street 2. Could this be because of the way he was beaten on that day in October 2006? While officially Grayson won the game, online the debate continues. Many street traditionalists insist that Grayson's play should not have counted because he broke official football rules by crossing the line of scrimmage, then passing the ball. But there are others who argue that because the Chunk Hunk had already breached etiquette by choosing to play as the Eagles, he was cursed from the beginning of the game and deserves what he got. Should the Chunk Hunk have won the game? His reaction was pretty violent, but was it justified? Why is it that a promising player like Case Grayson has yet to appear in a professional street tournament since that day? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like and follow me on social media. If you'd like a shout out and to show that you're a real fan, go to Add Translation under the More button and paste a Google translated closed captioning of this video in your language of choice. With your help, I'll be able to entertain and bring joy to the whole world. A link to your channel will also be added in the description. That's all for today, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Have you ever been to the post office? Then you need Stamps.com. Stamps.com is the hip, fun way to get the stamps you need without the hassle of standing in line for 5 minutes. Just order right from your computer. Use my link, stamps.com/street2gamer, to get your first $5 worth of stamps free.